Hi and welcome to another edition of Onside SA, where we have got a winner in our last one standing, and the new one has started as well. And Budge, great to see it's our great friend and former teammate, Grant Croshaw.
Yeah, Paul got lucky.
Yeah.
You know, and the previous week Spurs were dreadful, even though they drew. And Andy Craig should have won it with Wolves. They were unlucky to disallow goals. But Grant was on Man United. I think he could have had a say in some of those VAR decisions that went United's way. But yeah, good luck to Grant. And March looks like we're heading over in March.
So he's looking at March the 14th. He's a Spurs supporter. What a great man. Great footballer in his day. And we'll try and get him on the show before the 14th of March. But he's going to watch Tottenham play Man United at the new White Hart Lane or the new Spurs Stadium. But you and him will have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Because he's a great mate.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's been a great mate of ours.
Meets up with all the boys before the game, especially all my United guys. Haven't
Charlie
seen them in a
Pigram,
while.
Spurs.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. So we meet them, and so that's the winner. Well done to Grant Croshaw. Bad luck to Andy Craig, who was on West Ham, who were leading. And the first one's got rolling. Budge, if I'm not mistaken, there's about a third gone.
Third gone, 150 went, Paul. You know, I thought we'd have had close on 500, but the rugby killed it.
Yeah.
You know, there were several guys, you know, that were actually at the game. You know, the Sean Singletons and Mark Currys. A lot of guys were away. You normally take a few picks. Yeah. So, but you know, 400
but it goes,
over 430.
But it goes quickly. The same luck. If a third can go, and the bulk, 188 on Man City.
Yeah. Well, everybody, that was the right move, Paul.
Yes.
A lot of guys are now learning, if they've taken 2 or 3, they're all going on Man City. Yeah. The obvious choice at home.
Yeah. So well, 188 can't pick them again. So
that's true.
And it'll be very interesting. But just to let you know, 282 went through from the 432, roughly 150 out. But the key is, Budge, as you like to do, you like to keep the stats up to date and see who is a marginal favourite to win it. And it's Gary Citron without the E.
Yeah, well, you know, Gary obviously had 8 picks. He went through on 7. But what was impressive, there were 4 different teams.
That's good.
A lot of guys, you know, Anthony Sue is always a contender, all 5 on Man City.
Yeah. The guys like to lump
on. So you don't blame them, Paul. They've got a plan.
Kevin Ross,
Go for it, Kevin. Yeah, a few teams,
Steve Potter, Richard Allen, three
they had
teams.
3 teams. They went 3 separate teams. You know, Steve's belief is, why lump all on one?
Yeah.
If they get beat, I'm out. So Steve and Rich have got the same philosophy. Must be a Mandine Park philosophy, but
the CEO is always lumped on as well.
We'll hear about that later. But yeah, he's right. He was all on Man City.
But just talking about Gary Citron without the E.
Yes.
He has had a major operation. He's just recovering, and he'll be back on his feet and that. So we wish him all the best. But well done. You've got 7 of 8 teams going through. Right, Stevie B, our international pundits in the London studio. Steve, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, both.
Morning.
Steve, congratulations staying in the last one standing. I know it's a popular choice, Man City, but as long as you don't pick Spurs, I think you'll have a good run.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Well, I thought I ought to use one of the big guns early on just to get through, because I was just saying to Paola, I know you guys like rinsing me when I go out early. So,
yeah, well, there's betting up who will last longer, the Everton manager or you in the competition.
I think if Silva wins again, I think he'll be in there longer than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, Bud, you've got some nice show topics from
here. Steve, VAR is obviously the major topic. We'll get to the rugby a little bit later, but you know, I watched the United-Norwich game, and I've seen some bad decisions, but that's the worst I've seen. Yeah, the penalty was a joke.
Yeah, I think what seems to be happening now, and it's, you know, as you say, VAR is getting quite controversial. Right at the beginning, they've always said that it's meant to be clear and obvious errors by the referee. But what we're finding now, whether it's a penalty or it's offside, is that, you know, some of the decisions the VAR are giving are more controversial than the snap decision that referee gives. Yeah. And I think it is causing a lot of consternation. And I think I don't think they do much about it now, but they may have to have a bit of a rethink in the close season, because it's holding the game up, and then decisions are being made or not made that actually don't seem to be helping with the game at all. So, as you say, you know, every week now that there's at least 1 or 2 controversial decisions.
You know what, Steve, I'm a big fan of VAR, because those offside decisions where they're goals or not goals are clear, are fantastic. Yeah. The referees run the field and the referees run the VAR studios. Is there any chance of getting an independent in there, an ex-footballer? You know?
Well, I guess you're right, but it has to be somebody that really does understand all the laws of the game. And whether you have, I guess that they feel that referees, because they're doing it week in, week out, would be the best people. There's no reason why it couldn't be somebody independent, but they've got to know that they actually understand. And obviously the laws do change each season slightly. So somebody has to be really up to date and really understand all the laws of the game and be able to interpret them very quickly. Because I think that's the point. Is the referee has split decision to make a decision, has seconds. VAR, they could be looking at it for 10 minutes if they really wanted from 100 different angles.
They've got to be,
the game.
Steve, they've got to be quicker. And believe me, none of them have played. When I say none, that's harsh.
Yeah.
The bulk of them haven't played. And you want a situation where you have a player like a top ex-player, a guy I respected. He comes in, he joins the panel, or he sits alongside a referee. He knows who's cheating and who's not. And it gets to a situation that if he's not good enough, or the ref's not good enough, move them on. Move them on.
Actually, I think there could be a lot of merit in having an ex-player there, because as you say, they understand how things sort of happen. Certainly where there have been penalties given with a slight touch or somebody sort of simulating a little bit, it is quite hard, but players often will know if someone's cheating or not. So, look, we knew there would be teething problems. It's just a shame there have been quite a few controversial decisions already this season that games have been decided on.
Yeah. Talking about people under pressure, what's the latest with the ex-Arsenal captain, Granit Xhaka?
Well, that's all. I think that the press here are basically saying, to have diffused it, he should have come out and apologised, but he hasn't. And I think that's sort of that's something. He was dropped for the game yesterday. Yeah. When asked about whether he would be available at the weekend, Unai Emery was very vague. So I don't think the club or Xhaka have handled it very well. I think just look, he's the club captain. He was obviously upset at being subbed and the crowd reaction, but he's got to take it on the chin. He didn't play very well, but the team were 2-2. They were made hard work of it. He needed to get off that field quickly and let the substitute come on. But the whole thing had just, all of a sudden, it went from, became a very toxic atmosphere. I don't think that helped Arsenal at all. So it'd be interesting to see whether he's in the squad and whether he plays, and whether or not he can carry on as captain of the club.
Yeah, I just think he should just have come out and said, guys, heat of the moment, I made a mistake, I'm totally wrong, I apologise, and get on with it. No, it's just simmering.
That's absolutely, and I think that's what a lot of people, most people would have done, and that's what you'd have expected him to have done. And whether or not that the club could have said to him, right, you go out and you say this, I'm very surprised they haven't, because Arsenal, historically, are the sort of club that do things the right way. Yeah. So I think this has been handled very badly.
Yeah. Now, what's the latest? Before we get into the League Cup, Steve, Mesut Ozil
played last night.
He played last night.
He played last night, and I watched that game, and I think he played for about 60, 65 minutes, and he was involved, and he does what he does best. He likes the ball and spraying it around. Yeah. But you get the impression that he was only in the team because they played a weakened team. Yeah. But the way things are going, Arsenal seem to lack creativity at the moment in the middle anyway. So I think it's crying out for an Ozil to be in the team. But I think it really depends on what Emery thinks, that whether he wants him in his matchday squad and whether Ozil's really up for it. So, at the moment, I think just having him on the fringes just seems pointless. I mean, he's probably the highest paid player by far at the club, and he's not being used.
Yeah, quality player. I agree with you. You need someone to spray them around. It's got to come back in because they're not going anywhere. But let's talk about those League Cup results, Stevie. Let's go to Tuesday night. Anything jump out at you? I know Southampton kept it low.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, City obviously rested a few. Southampton played a pretty strong team. I think they had a point to prove. I think at 3-0 with sort of 20, 30 minutes of the game, they could have capitulated. They showed a little bit more fight. But City have got bigger games coming up, so I think it's fair to say they took their foot off the gas. I think it was good for the smaller clubs. I think it's great for Colchester and for Oxford to find themselves in the draw for the last 8, and the draw's being made during the morning today. Now, obviously, if they were drawn against each other, you're going to have a League One / League Two team in the semi-finals, which like we had with Burton last year. Yeah. The big teams all rested. I wouldn't say there are any huge surprises. I think Everton have maybe targeting. They played a pretty strong side. Everton might be targeting this. So, but you expected City to go through.
Steve, what was strange? I just had a look at the 16 teams. There wasn't one championship team in it.
Yes, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think you sort of find that quite a lot of the Championship teams all rotated.
Yeah.
Now, if they're playing against a Premier League team, they're not going to be strong enough. If they're playing, as some did, against, say, a First Division team, again, if the First Division team are playing a strong side, then a weakened Championship team might not be strong enough. So, in some respects, I'm surprised because some of the Championship teams in the past have done well in the League Cup. So, but it just seems that it's unfortunate that the competition has just been devalued. Yet, it is a potential route to Europe. So. It's surprising in some respects, but I think with the demands on the team and the players, even like when Fulham played in the earlier round, we basically rested the entire team against Southampton. So, you've got little chance of beating a Premier League team if you're not playing your strongest side.
Steve, just want to ask you one question. I don't know how you answer this. Colchester are one of the 8 teams that have gone through.
Yeah.
Now, Colchester, what would they get financially from a quarter-final
They do.
draw?
I mean, they don't get anywhere near as much as if you progress in the FA Cup, but they will do, and especially if they can get. I think the key for them would be to have a televised game.
Yeah.
So if they could draw City or United or somebody and get a televised game, that's where the money is for them. So, plus, I think it's obviously on the back of it, they hope that they will get sort of slightly bigger gates in the league.
Yeah.
But they have they've got a small stadium with a small capacity. But if they could draw a home side, a Premier League team at home, they'll sell out, and all things being equal, they'll be on TV. That's when they could make some money that will certainly add to their coffers.
Steve,
one last question, sorry, but have you been to Colchester?
I did at the old stadium many, many years ago to see Fulham lose on a Wednesday night. So.
Steve, what would happen, say Colchester draw Man United at home? For financial reasons, would they be allowed to change the game to Old Trafford?
I don't think they are nowadays.
Okay.
I think that they would certainly play it at home because the money they would make from TV would compensate.
Yeah.
But I think they'd want to play it at home. I think if the ground wasn't fit for purpose, that would be different. But they've got a small, tidy, all-seater stadium. So I think if they did play at home, same as Oxford.
Yeah.
Again,
Talking of Colchester,
small capacities.
Yeah. Is Colchester's nickname the Spireites? Is that right, Steve?
No, that's Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, okay. Just,
Our boy Steve's good.
Our boy Steve's especially in the morning, Steve. That early morning train trip's
Our boy
woken you
Steve.
up.
Yeah.
As talking about Man United, how do you think they'll go at Bournemouth Saturday lunchtime, Steve?
They just seem to have just hit a little bit of form, haven't they? I think getting Martial back and Rashford, so the two of them up front, sort of takes the pressure off a little bit. And they won very convincingly at Norwich the other day, didn't they? I mean, obviously you got the missed penalties, but they had enough chances to have scored half a dozen. It was a good win last night again. So I think on the road, I'd fancy United to edge that by a goal.
Okay. A team, I think, Arsenal, Wolves. How do you see that one going?
It'd be interesting to see what sort of reaction we get from Arsenal again playing at home. Wolves dug in at Newcastle last week and were sort of good value for a point. I think Arsenal have just got to find a way to win that. They've got to really go after Wolves. I think that'll be close. I think Arsenal could well edge that. I think wouldn't be more than a goal in it, but I think that they've got to get back to winning ways, otherwise they're starting to fall away from the top four, start to create a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, talking the top four, Leicester are cruising. I think they're in third place. Is this a trick game at Selhurst Park?
Well, Palace are a difficult team, but I find that again, it's Palace's away form more often than not is what sort of got them up there. Yeah. I think Leicester have been very exciting this season, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they go there and win that.
Okay, Sheffield United. I see they're favourites to beat Burnley. How do you see that one?
Yeah, I think again that's going to be a tight game. I think Sheffield United have surprised everybody. They don't give up. Certainly away from home, I mean, unbeaten still. Yeah. It's a tremendous record. At home, they're finding it difficult because obviously, they like to try and play football, but it was a great win against Arsenal, but they haven't scored more than one goal in any game. Yeah. I think Burnley will go there thinking that they could get a point because they're a hard team. They were really undone by Chelsea last week, but I think away from home they'll be a bit more solid. The onus won't be on them to attack as they felt they had to. So I fancy a draw there.
All right. Now, the big game of the weekend, well, for Paul anyway, is Tottenham travelling to Everton. Can Tottenham get a result?
Well, look, it depends what. Again, we keep saying is what sort of Tottenham. In patches, Tottenham played well at Liverpool, but then big chunks of the second half, it's almost like they seem quite happy. Just they thought, well, we've got it at 1-1. We'll just sit back and hope for the best. Yeah. I don't think that's going to work at Everton. I think Everton have had a couple of wins now, in the Carling Cup and the league. They played very well against West Ham, won comfortably during the week against Watford. I think that's a tough game, and I think that Tottenham are going to have to be to show a little bit more adventure if they want to get anything at Goodison.
All right. So is that your upset of the weekend in the Premiership, Everton to beat Tottenham?
I'd fancy that. I just fancy Everton to, I think with all the problems they've had, but I think they've got one or two players back in the middle, and I thought they played very well against West Ham. So Tottenham just worry me. There's just something isn't quite right there. Even last season when they lost at Liverpool, they really gave it a go, but this year I just felt second half, until they went 2-1 down, they just seem very happy just to sit back. I just don't think that will work up at Everton. Everton will work really hard. I think Tottenham are going to have to match them. So we'll see.
Right, I think player for player we're a better side, but as you say, our away record's woeful, and we're having a bad season.
Except at Everton.
But you're right, except at Everton. I think we'll come away with a win, but it wouldn't surprise me if we lost. Not at all.
Well, I think, if Tottenham can, then obviously then it will maybe sort of kick-start the season a little bit more.
Yeah.
But as things stand, they're just falling adrift, and they need a little bit of a run just to get back into those top four places. Well, this is Tottenham's worst season for a few. So,
well, if my figures are right, we're 8 points of top four and 3 points of relegation.
That's true, but they're again so
we've got to sort that out for the sake of my TVs.
Yeah. Talking about sorting it out, Steve, can your Fulham boys get back to winning ways at home against Hull?
Last week at Middlesbrough was the sort of game that we would have expected to win. But when you have your goalkeeper sent off after 17 minutes, it's always going to be an uphill struggle. And by the sounds of it, I think Middlesbrough only had one or two shots on target at the end of the game. So we did well to keep them out, but when you're playing that long with 10 men, it's quite tough. So Hull won't be an easy game. They've got one of the best forwards in the division, Jared Bowen, who's scored in the last few games. They had a very good win over Derby last week, but I think I would expect us to get back to winning ways at home against them.
Okay, now what's Brentford against QPR on Monday? And now what's the South African guy playing in the midfield, Makochi? He was outstanding. They murdered Brentford. They murdered QPR 3-1.
Makochi, where did he come from?
They've just hit a little bit of form. So they won the last three. Away from home, they're good. They've got the second highest goal scorer in the division, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
And they've got another couple of good players like Ben Rama up front. A lot of Premiership teams we're looking at. It's interesting because they started slowly, even though a lot of the bookies have sort of tipped them. But as things stand, they're only a win away from a playoff place. So I think they will beat Middlesbrough. I think I'll be very surprised if they don't beat them by 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah, is it Huddersfield they're playing, Steve, or is it Middlesbrough?
No, Middlesbrough. Brentford home to Middlesbrough.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with them. Now, Cardiff, a team I haven't been impressed with. I watched them draw at home against Sheffield Wednesday when they were lucky to get a point. How do you see them going against Birmingham?
Well, it's interesting. At home, they're strong. I mean, they're unbeaten at home, 1-4, drawn 2.
Yeah.
Away, they're poor. They've lost 4 away, and they lost in the big derby on Sunday without playing particularly well. Birmingham are a funny team, as we know, up and down. They had a good win last week. Away, they're not. They're good at home again, like Cardiff. They're not strong away. I think that's probably got draw written all over it. So, but they're not convincing this year, Cardiff, and I'd be very surprised if they finish even in a playoff place.
Yes, I agree with you. Now, Wigan are at home against Swansea. I fancy an upset there, Steve. How do you see that?
Well, Wigan have had a couple of good results recently, and although their away record is poor, they played well at home. I mean, they beat Forest at home a couple of weeks ago. Very good performance. Swansea do seem to play better away from home, though. And I thought in patches they were very good last Sunday against Cardiff. I think that will be. I'd be surprised if Swansea lost that, but it could happen. But on the other hand, if Swansea hit their straps early and with the sort of players that they've got up front with pace, they could win that as comfortably as well. So that's the sort of game that could go either way.
Yeah, the reason I say I like Wigan is I think they still play rugby league on that pitch, or from what I'm led to believe. And talk about patches, there'll be plenty of patches on that pitch.
Yeah, no, you're right. When they played Forest, it looked like pitches look like now in like March, not in October. So, but obviously the rugby league season is finished now. So, they can probably get the ground sort of recovered a little bit.
And last but not least, a big game of the weekend in the Championship. Charlton at home to Preston on Sunday, and I believe it's on in South Africa.
It's live on Sky. I think at midday our time. It'll be 2 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
Look, Preston had a tremendous win last week. I mean, 2-0 down, not playing at all well, and came back very strong against a decent sort of Blackburn side. Charlton have wobbled a little bit, but they're a hard team to beat, and they got a very good draw up at West Brom.
Yes, 2-2.
Controversial penalty, but even so, they really didn't give up. I think that would be a really good game. I think obviously Preston are in a great position in the Championship. Charlton have just fallen out of the top 6. I don't think Preston necessarily will go and win that, but I think it's going to be a very, very close game.
Stevie, thanks very, very much. Before we let you go, we've got to talk last one standing, because for you to go a second week, have you given it some thought and any ideas for me?
Well, I'm not sure you should listen to any of my ideas, but I think this week I am going to go for Chelsea. I just like the way they play away from home. It's got a lot of goals away. Watford are struggling at home. I shall go with Frank Lampard's boys this week.
All right, Steve. Just send me the WhatsApp or the email, please, and I'll get it sorted out for you.
Steve, we're not going to talk rugby. We both know our stance. We're both hoping like hell, but
as long as it's may the best team win.
Yeah.
As long as it's England, yeah.
May the best team win. Thanks very much, Stevie.
Right, Steve.
Pleasure.
Speak to you later.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Right, there's Stevie gone. We're going to just get straight on to the Premiership fixtures, but we're going to have a guest come in to join us. But before we do, have a look at this photo, Budge. Do you remember this?
Yep. Remember Joe Perry very well. Don't know who the guys with the black hair.
No, neither do I.
Number 13 and Richard Pearton right behind you.
Yeah, Richard, that's right, Richard Pearton. Those were the days. Mini World Cup. I got player of the tournament that year, and someone dug this out of the archives, and I think I look better these days.
I must say, Paul, nice dark hair. So
yeah, those were the days, the halcyon days. But we're going to be talking to a guest, and here is the photograph of our guest, Captain Amazulu, a great footballer, a great gentleman, and a friend of ours for many, many years. And we managed to get him at the studio. His name's Paul Bishop. Those of you will remember him. And Paulie, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
It's wonderful I haven't seen you for some time. And how are things going?
Very well, thanks. I'm retired and just taking it easy,
You follow the football?
Yes, I do. Lots of football.
Lots of football. We can ask your opinion on a couple of games just now, but
okay.
But one of your ex-pupils works with me in the office. We're going to have a cup of tea with him after, and he'll be listening for your tips.
Great.
So don't put it down the middle, otherwise you're in trouble. But,
yeah. So Paulie, just let's talk about Amazulu for a moment.
Sure.
And Amazulu now and then, the differences.
Look. In the early 80s, Amazulu really were a fantastic side.
Yes.
They really had good
Usutu.
Usutu, yes, yes, exactly. They were great side. Now they don't seem to have the same kind of quality, I think, But,
It's a pity.
It is actually,
It's a pity,
I've watched them train many a time because they train along Enimore Avenue. I don't think there's as many local players coming through, or Durban boys, as there were. A lot of these guys are coming from Joburg.
Yeah.
I just don't think
What's
they've got
the money.
It's got to be something. But what about your scouts? There were always players scouting around Durban, Hammersdale. There were plenty of local players.
No,
Maritzburg have got them.
Yeah,
but I can't believe Amazulu, which is sad. Yeah.
In your days, best player you played against?
Best player, there were probably two, I think. Well, three, I think.
Sure.
Obviously, Joe Masono.
Great player.
Essen Sulengu.
Great.
And don't leave Lawrence Chillen out.
Yeah, absolutely. Lawrence Chillen was a legend. I agree with you. Jomo was...
It was something else.
It was something else.
He was just unbelievable.
I picked him up one day and he stood on the ball. I just didn't clap. The game was on, he stood on the ball. I didn't balance on, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was just... Those were good times, Paulie.
They were great times.
Yeah,
Absolutely great times.
Played against players who Hassel name's a legend, and
correct. Yeah.
And Budge, you played against all of them as well. They were
Paul, I think the difference was we trained 3 times a week. and then you played.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know,
Correct,
the other difference is we played in the winter months.
Yes.
Yeah, you went to Volcom or Witbank, even Bloemfontein. Those pitches were terrible.
Yeah.
Now they play in summer. There's no curtain raisers. The grounds are manicured.
Absolutely.
They train every day. There's no
Absolutely.
excuse. And most people still can't use 2 feet. But yeah,
And then,
good
Paulie,
times.
when you and I hung up our pro boots, I think
Yes.
you stayed on another year
Yeah,
or two,
couple of
and we went to Wanderers. Remember our years at
Correct,
Wanderers
correct.
over 35? Wasn't that great fun?
Oh, that was like probably the greatest footballing time of my life.
It was fantastic.
It was really unbelievable.
There were a lot of quality in the field and played at the right tempo and a beer afterwards.
Absolutely, yes. I remember we played against Budgie at Stella once or twice,
That's
but
right.
we always beat them, you know.
Yeah, they were walking the park.
I think the thing was, it was a camaraderie. The result
It
didn't
was.
really mean anything. You know, I always remember
Absolutely.
before the game, the banter. The
Yes.
game was the worst part of it.
Yeah,
Because you woke up the next day and you were stiff and sore. You never trained. But it was the players and the people, Paul.
And
and
still
I think
today,
that
Paulie,
was.
I've got great friends, and so have you two of our time
Yes.
in football.
Yes,
mate.
for sure, man.
It's
But all the memories, but not the money, sadly.
No, sadly not.
Well, we've got a couple of things on our wall. You know,
Yeah.
we still communicate with our mates, and
that's the most important thing. I mean, we didn't make much money those
those days,
years, but it wasn't important.
No.
It really wasn't. It was just playing quality football.
That's right.
And we really enjoyed it.
It was great.
yeah.
We used to travel around the country. We'd have
Correct.
a laugh, you know. I
Correct.
just was given a stat the other day. The first year we won the league at City, we led from the jump. We won by a point. I think we beat PG Rangers.
Yeah.
And every cup competition, we went out first round.
yeah.
I didn't realise that. First round, I thought we were a good side.
No, the cups, the hiccup wasn't the...
Yeah, it was the hiccups for us that year.
Yeah.
So Paulie, who's the team you support in the British Premier League?
In the British Premier League, I support Arsenal.
Beg your pardon?
The Gunners.
The
The
Gunners.
last team of
The Gunners.
North
The
London.
Gunners.
The Gunners.
Gunners. You support
Yeah.
every Gunner's a runner. You know that.
Yeah.
And you're having a season like mine with Spurs, mixed.
Correct. Completely mixed, yeah. We thought that the new coach, you know, would actually swing things around, you know, but it hasn't really happened for him as well.
Yeah, it hasn't. You
Yeah.
know, and he's got some good players. You know, his son Nicholas
does have.
Pepe is a great talent. You saw
Great
those free
player.
kicks.
Yes.
The Ozil question still hangs around.
It
He
still
played last
does, it
night.
still
He's a
does.
quality player, but
One of the finest, you know,
They need
in
a
my
player.
opinion.
Yes,
yeah,
they
a
need a
really,
player.
really great player. They need somebody like that. But somehow it just seems to be an issue of attitude or perhaps, you know, a psychological
politics.
issue. Yeah, it could be internal politics. But he's just not performing the way that we all know he can.
how would you handle the Granit Xhaka situation after the
Oh
war?
gosh,
It's a tough
man.
one, eh?
You know, it is such a difficult one. I don't know his character though.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Club captain.
Club captain, yeah, but the kind of incident he's
Rooney
involved in.
petulance.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
You can't tell your supporters to jump in the bay. in
No,
a manner of
no,
speaking.
it's
But
just
how would you handle
unacceptable.
something like that?
Yeah, I'd send him away for a couple of weeks. Just try and
Get
the
him
whole
right.
thing blow
Correct.
over.
Yes.
The fans will never forgive you. You know, you should have
No.
come out and apologised. Sorry,
Yes,
guys. We've
punch.
all had heat to the moments where you throw your toys out. But
yes,
to me, and by him not saying anything,
yes, it makes it worse.
yeah. So either A,
Certainly
you've got to get
does.
rid of him.
Yeah.
Is it-
Right. We're going to go on to, and I want two opinions.
Yeah.
Budge here, the Fundi. Budge has been red hot the last 3 years.
My Man United, we're on a roll.
Yeah.
3 wins in a row.
Sorry, I got something from our producer.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah. Now we'll get the Premiership fixtures up now for you,
Yeah.
Paul, so we can go through it.
Yeah, we go through them
Okay.
together. And here it comes. The first game is Paulie, Bournemouth, Man United. How do you see it?
Look, I think definitely Man United.
Okay.
You know, I know that
Playing well again.
Yeah, they just hit form. Yeah.
But
Only thing for me was a late game last night. You know, lunchtime kickoff. There's a few guys with knocks. We may start slowly.
Bournemouth
I think this
can
is
be
a
dangerous.
yeah, this is a trick game for United, Paul. Next week we got Brighton at home. We get a result here. We'll be close on top 6, but I think this is a tricky game for United.
Yeah, okay, let's move on quicker than we normally do, Budge.
Yeah.
Paulie, you got the opening
Arsenal.
salvo. Arsenal. They're playing against Wolves. Dangerous team.
Yeah, very, very. And the way Arsenal have been playing recently, I think, you know, if it's not a draw, then Arsenal could lose this again.
Yeah, that's Budge. How do you see it?
Yeah.
At home used to be a fortress for
It
them.
used to be, Paul. Yeah, when you watch them, there's something wrong there. You
There's
know, they
definitely.
concede too many goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be the upset of the weekend, Paul. Wolves rested all their players last night. They got beat by Aston Villa in the Cup.
Of course.
Dangerous team, Wolves. They always play well against the top six.
Well.
Yeah.
So this is a trick game. But both teams to score for me there, Paul. But I agree with Paul. Draw
Aston
looks
Villa
unlikely.
15th, play Liverpool top of the point. But your opinion,
Should be
Budge?
Liverpool all day, Paul. You know.
Should be Liverpool
Should
all
be.
day.
I think
you
there's
know.
goals in this as well. Aston Villa have a go.
They have a go.
But you've got to be
Yeah.
impressed the way Liverpool are going lately.
You got to be impressed, yeah. They just look unbeatable, you know. But Aston Villa have had some decent results recently as well.
They have done.
Definitely, yeah.
Brighton play well at home.
Paul, yeah, this is the trick game of the weekend. Everyone's going to lump on Brighton. I was disappointed in Norwich last week,
Me
the way
too.
they played
Me
against
too.
United.
I was disappointed.
Their last away game, they went to Bournemouth and they parked the bus. Don't be surprised if they try and do that and play for the draw, especially with Pookie up front.
Yeah.
You'd expect Brighton to win. But I don't know, Paul, this is a funny game for
Brighton
me.
are a much better side than they were under the Spurs boy. Okay, Man City, Southampton, bonus point. Imagine you get, Paulie, you catch 9 goals in the league, and then the next week you play Man City twice.
Away from home.
Away from
home. That's really punishing, you know.
For the record, Southampton are 25-1.
Well, it doesn't matter what price. I wouldn't be having a cent on that game.
Man City too good?
Should be Man City all day, Paul.
Man City
all day.
for me. Man City all day. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Sheffield United, who struggled a bit at home, against Burnley, the side who got those 2 big boys. If they're both back...
Yeah. Paul, I think this is an upset. I can't believe they got 11 at 10 Sheffield United against Burnley. Sheffield United mirror Burnley the way they play.
Yes.
You know, Burnley are a good team. They're
Who's
well
better
organised.
on the carpet? Sheffield?
Well, you know, Sheffield United play the 3 wing backs, 2 wing backs. I like Burnley here, Paul. Burnley win and draw all day. Sheffield United lost 3 of the last 4 at home. The only game they won at home was Crystal Palace. But I wouldn't be taking 11 at 10. I don't know what you think, Paul.
No, I agree that it's Burnley, but I'm just concerned that Sheffield beat Arsenal recently.
Yeah, they played well that day.
Played so well on the day.
Bring on Billy Sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, West Ham were leading and got beat last week. Newcastle, a bit more, they're a cautious team away from home.
A lot of fight, Paul. You know, as you say, they'll try and park the bus, get a point. I disappointed in West Ham last week against Sheffield United. They should have gone on and won the game. Anderson got clear. All he had to do was cut it back to Haller, and he went for the glory.
Yeah.
West Ham are one of those teams that they play well against the bigger sides, and against the lesser sides, they seem to take the foot off the brake. It should be West Ham, though.
It should be West Ham.
Okay, we've just heard our pundit from London, Stevie B, saying Chelsea are excellent away from home. They're going to beat Watford.
Chelsea looking good, yeah.
Have Watford won the game yet?
No.
Got to happen soon.
Well, I think they, even in the League Cup, they won on penalties, Paul. But
Paulie, we drew with them and you drew with them.
yeah.
Yes.
You were 2-0 up, they came back brilliantly.
2-2,
Correct.
They should have got a penalty, would have put us out of the woods. We would have been beaten by them. So I think
It's
they've
a
got
hard game,
squeak.
Paul. London derby, there's goals in this, but the way Chelsea are playing, you've got to fancy them.
Yeah, Chelsea playing
Absolutely.
good football.
Absolutely.
Palace got beat the other day, Budge, but they've got Leicester City, the high-flying Leicester City in town. What do you boys think?
Ironically, they both play the same way.
Yes.
You know, Crystal Palace sit deep and try and catch them on the break. Leicester have lost their last 4 meetings with Crystal Palace. Well, what you see with Leicester, you've got to think that they'll win.
Yeah.
But I'm worried, you know, there's Sacco and the ex-Chelsea boy at the back. This is a funny game, Paul. Don't be surprised if it ends in a draw.
Okay, dokie.
I don't know what you think, Paul. You
Yes,
know,
look, I agree. Look, Leicester on
Play
form,
well.
you know,
Very much.
really looking
But
good.
the best bit of the weekend is obviously Tottenham. Everton,
What do you think?
we've got the better side, I've no doubt. They're going to play Ndombele and play boys like it. We've got the better side. But we've gone and got taken out by Brighton, by, you know, Newcastle.
Yes.
We've got some horrific away results. And as we were saying earlier, 3 from relegation, 8 from top 4.
Paul, I took a double with Spurs, with Barcelona over 3.5 into Spurs, 15 at 10. I think Spurs will destroy Everton. There's certain things.
Budge, I'm passing them up to you.
I know they've
I'd
lost
like to
9
hear
of the
that.
last 11 away from home, and they
Yeah.
look terrible. They've had the week,
What price are they?
15
Oh,
to
I'm
10.
going to the biggest
Paul.
bet I've had in a long time.
You know, I can't believe they've got that price. Everton are terrible. I know they won in midweek, but Watford had chances.
Yes.
And the last goal was with the last kick of the game. They won 2-0. I'm not fooled with Everton. I think Spurs 15 at 10 is a good bet.
Derek Ramsey supports them.
Yeah, well,
So I'm going to phone him for a side bet.
a few boys that like toffee, Paul. So
I think Spurs. I think Spurs as well.
they've got to come right sooner or
I
later.
think-
Paulie, we're going on to the championship matches, and again, we're getting a lot of them on TV, which is fantastic. So we've as a betting what shall I say, system. The guys are into these championships because they're tough.
Wow, okay.
They're very, very tough. This league, if you get promoted, you've had a tough league, you know. And let's start with Barnsley,
Paul,
Bristol.
Barnsley have only won one game this year. That was the first game of the year against Fulham. They haven't won in 13. Bristol City, Paul, they cost me a bet the other day. They cost us a bet. They drew 2-2 with Wigan. It should be Bristol City all day. But if I was going to have a bet in this particular game, it's both teams to score.
Okay.
Now, 19-10 Wigan, Paul. They've lost one of the last 16 at home.
Yes.
And that was to Leeds. When we back Leeds, but they had a player sent off early in that game. I can't believe Swansea are 14-10. They're playing on a rugby pitch. You know, Wigan 19-10, Paul. That's my best value bet of the weekend.
Okay.
Blackburn, I watched them the other 2-0 up against Preston, got beat 3-2, but they were on the week before when they played Huddersfield at home.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in them. Now, Sheffield Wednesday have only lost 1-9. If I was going to have a bet there, it's Sheffield Wednesday and the draw for me in that particular game, or both teams to score.
And I heard you like Brentford.
Like Brentford, just what I saw, Paul. You know, I think
the South African in the midfield.
Good team, 5-10 should be all day. A bit short for a championship team, Paul, but they should win.
Cardiff.
Our next page, I can't trust Cardiff, Paul. I watched Birmingham beat Middlesbrough, and I was really impressed. When they got beat 1-0 at Leeds, they had more chances in Leeds, and that was at Elland Road.
Cardiff don't lose at home,
Don't lose at home, yeah. I think a draw is written all over it. I agree with Steve on that particular match. Now, Derby have won their last 3 at home, but they've beaten the 3 lower league teams. Middlesbrough haven't won in 7, and in those 7 games, they've only scored 3 goals.
Who's the boss?
Jonathan Woodgate, the ex-league centre-half.
Yes.
So it should be a comfortable Derby win. But, you know, I just don't trust them, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, but 11-10, if you are looking at stats, it should be Derby all day.
Fulham short?
Should be 6-10, Paul. Fulham concede goals. I think it was 5-2 Fulham to win and both teams to score. As Steve says that Jared Bowen, he scores every week now.
Good player.
But you'd expect Fulham
Spurs
at home.
were after him.
Yeah, Fulham at home should be too good.
Leeds?
Yeah, likewise, Leeds, Paul. They struggle for goals at home. I don't know why, but they should be QPR. I was really disappointed in them on the Monday night when they got outclassed by Brentford. Should be plenty of goals in that, Paul. And
Can Leeds get promoted?
They should, Paul. They went to Preston, drew 1-1, and my Preston guys said it's the best team we've played this season. But we'll see. If you don't score, obviously you don't win too many games.
Okay.
Now, Notts Forest, I've backed them the last twice because the ex-Spurs captain, Michael Dawson's been injured. If he returns, Paul, I think you can lump on 16-10. Sadly, I didn't put them in any of my bets because I don't know if he's coming back.
Yeah,
but I'll be waiting for the team sheets at 4 o'clock on Saturday.
Reading, Millwall, but
both
teams.
2 managers. Yeah, Millwall won their first game under the Gary Wright. They beat Stoke. And Reading under Mark Bowen, they beat Preston. I think they drew at Forest. A draw for me in that particular game, Paul.
All right, the last 2?
Last 2, well, my boys Preston, but we're terrible away from home. I can't believe we're second. You know, we've got a few draws away from home, and if we avoid defeat, it'll be a great result. Lee Boyers, Charlton, in and out team, Paul, but if I was having a bet, the draw would be my play. And the Monday night game, West Brom should beat Stoke, but, you know, Stoke...
Top of the league, plays 23rd.
Yeah, you know, you can't believe they're 13-10. It's just away from home, they concede many goals, West Brom. So both teams to score in that game, Paul.
All right, well, we're back to our PSL.
Yeah.
Paulie, you can come back in here. Like you and I, we sit out with the championship talk.
Yeah, for sure.
But PSL midweek, I'll just give you the midweek results. Highlands Park, Pirates. Buds, did you watch
the
it?
goal was 5 yards offside.
Was it?
Yeah, you just couldn't believe it. Highlands were unlucky, but because they got the Telkom knockout this week, no one's really said much, but the goal was miles offside. You know,
And then,
last night, 1-1 Supersport. They made a few changes, Supersport. Gabuza was on the bench. So they ended up drawing with Bloemfontein.
You always keep
Celtic.
the boozers on the bench.
Yeah, you're right.
The boozers shouldn't be in the squad.
You know, quarter-final of the Telkom, the big money game, Paul, so that's what everybody focuses on.
Okay, so it's quarterfinals this weekend.
Yeah.
Paulie, I'm going to ask your opinion as well here because we've got Maritzburg playing Highlands Park, who lost during the week.
Yeah.
In their league positions, Paulie, Highlands Park are 4th and Maritzburg United on 9th. So knockout match. Where are they playing this
Playing
match?
at Harry Gwala, Paul.
Gwala. What do you think, Paulie?
Well, look, I'd still go with the Highlands Park.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd go with Highlands. I mean, I think that Owen Dugama has enough savvy to to pull it off. Yeah,
He's done well.
He's done extremely well.
He's a shrewd man. He's a very shrewd man.
Yeah. He's got a good coaching team. I think one of the Freeze guys is brother. He's the assistant.
Yes.
Yeah, they were unlucky, Paul. They got beaten in the Telkom knockout final by SuperSport.
That's
They played great. This is a low-scoring game, Paul. Marisburg they knocked out Wits in the last
Who's the
round.
boss there now?
That's Eric Tinkler. Another guy that's underrated, done a good job.
Correct.
They've won the last 2 league games there, but at 1-0, Paul. I always get scared when teams only score 1 goal. I think the draw is a player there, Paul, but if I was looking to have a bet, I'd try and find out what prices are the guys to go through. And I agree. I think Highlands could sneak through.
Budge, obviously Pirates and Chiefs, and Paulie is always a great
Mabida
game.
here,
The difference is one is 7th, one is 8th and one is 1st. Chiefs are top of the log. This is a one-off. They got drawn against each other. Pirates have come through the win during the week. Paulie, who's going to win the derby?
Well, for me, it's Chiefs again.
Yeah, me too.
They've sort of reached a kind of a form now which looks consistent.
Yeah, that's right.
And I like the way they're playing as well.
Yeah.
Budge, can you give Pirates a squeak?
Well, the last 12 times they've met, Pirates have won 5 and drawn 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
So Chiefs are looking to get
I
a win.
watched the Chiefs Sundowns game. They're good going forward, Chiefs. You just never know what you're going to get from Pirates. But I agree, it should be Chiefs. But I don't know whether there's a voodoo over them, but you haven't won in 12. But this is their chance, Paul. It's at Mozambique, Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. You fancy Chiefs, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Supersport against Golden Arrows.
Well, they're playing this game in Nelspruit.
Why?
No idea, but SuperSport are a cup team, Paul. They've only lost one of the last 13. I fancy
9 to 10.
SuperSport, 9 to 10. They're a cup team, but Golden Arrow, Steve Compella's got them well organised, Paul. Away from home, they don't win many games, but this is going to be a tight affair, Paul. But I think SuperSport will just edge it.
Who's the boss there?
That's Kaitano Tembo. He's a Zimbabwean
Paulie,
guy.
how
Done
do
a
you
good
see
job.
it? Supersport?
No, I see it the same way. Budge does.
Supersport, yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
And then Mamelodi Sundowns, they were around in our day, Paul. Mamelodi Sundowns. And they're away to Chipper.
Yeah, look, I'd go with Mamelodi Sundowns.
You go
Chipper as well, haven't
8 to 10,
been
yeah.
playing too well, yeah.
Well, I watched the Chiefs Sundowns game because I went both teams to score, and Chiefs got an offside goal. They've come out and said it wasn't an offside goal. It was. The centre forward got a touch before the guy tapped it in. 15 corners to 2. Sundowns destroyed them. They've got a guy up front called Sereno. What a player. I think he's Peruvian, or what a great player.
Yeah.
But they got to get back. Pizzo was so mad after the game. They didn't play in midweek. 8 to 10, Paul. I think it's a steal. They're playing at Nelson Mandela Stadium.
8 to 10. Okay, boys, I'm going to make money this weekend listening to you two.
Yeah.
Right, Budge, the official soccer pool, Soccer 6. Give us your readings on these 2 Soccer 6s first.
Paul, yeah, I've gone the field in the United game. I just think it's a trick game for us.
Yeah.
I've gone the field in the Chiefs-Pirates game. While I agree with Paul that Chiefs are the better team, you know what
they
cup
don't
games
win
are
this.
like.
They don't win
beat
these
them too
derbies.
often. I think Barcelona will be too good for Levante. I've thrown the draw in with Bayern Munich at Eintracht Frankfurt. I agree. I think Chelsea will beat Watford.
So do I.
And I've gone SuperSport United win and draw against Arrows, 2-1-6.
Okie dokie. Next one?
The second one is their Premiership Soccer 6. I've gone the field in the Arsenal-Wolves game. I think Liverpool will be too good for Aston Villa. I've thrown the draw in the Brighton-Hove Albion-Norwich City game. I think City will be too good for Southampton. I like Burnley to avoid defeat at Sheffield United. And something tells me Newcastle are going to get a result. Paul, I've gone the field in that 2-1-6.
Why do they call it Brighton and Hove?
Well, you've been there a few times.
Do you know what it is? Brighton's here, and if you walk down the beach for a few miles, it's Hove.
Oh, okay.
It's a little village.
Where's the Albion come from?
That's just they put it
Okay,
there. Where does the
there.
Hotspurs come from?
That's true, yeah.
You know, so that's the Brighton and Hove. They're 2 places next to each other. Very nice. I walked those beaches a couple of times.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to
Soccer
10.
10, Paul. Yeah, I've gone the field in the Chiefs-Pirates game. I've gone Bayern Munich win and draw against Eintracht Frankfurt. I've gone the field in the Wolves game, obviously looking for the upset. I've banked Liverpool to beat Aston Villa. I've gone Brighton, Hove Albion, win and draw at home against Norwich. A second page, I've banked Man City to beat Southampton. I've gone Burnley, win and draw at Sheffield United. I've thrown the draw in the West Ham Newcastle clash. I think Chelsea will beat Watford. And I've banked SuperSport United, Paul, 288.
All right, the impossible one.
Well, I've gone 5 bankers, spent a little bit extra this week. 5 bankers, 8 winning draws. I think Liverpool will beat Aston Villa. I've gone Arsenal win and draw at home against Wolves. Likewise, Brighton win and draw at home against Norwich. I think Man City will beat Southampton. I think Burnley will avoid defeat at Sheffield United. I've gone West Ham win and draw at home against Newcastle. I've banked Chelsea to beat Watford. On the second page, I've got banked Leeds United to beat QPR. I've gone Cardiff win and draw at home against Birmingham. I've gone Sheffield Wednesday win and draw at Blackburn. I've gone Derby win and draw at home against Middlesbrough. I've banked Fulham to beat Hull City, and I've sided with Nottingham Forest win and draw at Luton Town, 4.35.
Bud's the best part of the show.
Yep, on to our bets. I've gone Liverpool to beat Aston Villa and Chelsea to beat Watford, and both teams to score. So all 4 teams have to score. I think there'll be plenty of goals in both of those games. And I've gone Tottenham to beat Everton on Sunday. I really fancy them this week, Paul.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Don't stop talking.
Yeah, our championship, I fancy Wigan to beat Swansea. I've gone Fulham to beat Hull City and both teams to score. And I've gone Leeds United to beat QPR and over 2.5 total goals, Paul. 3,100 to 200.
The father.
On to our father. I've changed it this week. Because of the PSL, Paul, was only 4 games and one was on a Friday, so I've had to omit the South African game. So I've gone the win and draw. I've gone Burnley to avoid defeat at Sheffield United. I'm hoping Wolves can avoid defeat at the Emirates against Arsenal.
Oh.
I think Birmingham City win and draw at Cardiff City. I don't see Sheffield Wednesday losing at Blackburn Rovers. And I think Wigan Athletic won't lose to Swansea City at home. So 13.5 to 1, Paul, 2,700 to 200. Both teams to score sides are Arsenal Wolves, Crystal Palace Leicester, Blackburn Sheffield Wednesday, Cardiff Birmingham, and Stoke West Brom on Monday.
Okie dokie.
3,400
The
to
Spanish
200.
omelette.
Our Spanish omelette, I've gone Real Valladolid to beat Mallorca. I've gone Valencia to beat Espanyol. I've gone Barcelona to beat Levante and over 3.5 total goals.
In that game?
In that particular game, yeah. 6 on Exeter, I've gone Liverpool to beat Aston Villa, Tottenham to beat Everton, Fulham to beat Hull City, Leeds United to beat QPR. I've gone Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Chippa United and Barcelona to beat Levante.
I like your teams. I've got a feeling in my water, Bud, you'll be back. But again, your strength has been your best bets and your value bets. Now you've gone from an 11 to 10
Paul,
team.
I looked all over the show trying to find the English. I don't know, just not confident. There's 6, 7 or 10 shots, Paul, but we don't tip.
We don't 9 to 10 and above.
9 to 10 and above. Now, what's Real Valladolid? They played Barcelona on Tuesday, had a bet over 3.5 goals. I know they got beat 5-1. But some of the Barcelona goals were outstanding. It was 3-1. It was a competitive game for a long time. Yeah. They're at home against a Mallorca team who haven't won away from home. They've lost all 4, struggle for goals. 11 to 10, Paul.
Value bet?
Value bet is Wigan, 19 to 10, Paul. I think they've got the odds wrong. I know they're playing Swansea, who are a good away team on the counter-attack. But when you beat Nottingham Forest, they beat Luton and Wigan. And they've only lost, I think they've won 6 of the last 8 at home. Only losing to to Leeds United, where they had a player sent off, Paul. So 19 to 10 is my play there.
Excellent. Paulie, thanks very much for coming to join us. It's great to catch up, and we'll certainly...
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Talk a bit more over a cup of tea. But don't forget, guys, that last one standing, Budge will be sending out those SMSs. Get your teams in and see if you can last another week. Until next time, stay on side.